I believe you have a house in America, Mr. Starkey.
I have a house in America.
I was wondering, where are you domiciled for tax purposes?
I am domiciled here, and I pay full taxes. And can I just say, as you have chosen to be personal and invidious, let me share a little story with you. One of the great things that is essential to Britishness is a sense of public duty, that you do things for nothing with organisations that can't pay. Ms. Penny, who has been advertising these great left-wing virtues, and I were due to debate for a very impoverished little society called the Thomas Paine Society on the virtues of a republic on the one hand and a monarchy on the other. I was prepared to do it for free. She insisted on trying to charge such a large fee that the event had to be cancelled. Now, I think that is as mean and grasping as some runt comedian, and I will not be lectured to by a jumped-up public school girl like you. I came from the bottom, and I will not have it.
Excuse me. May I respond to that?
Right of reply. Go on.
I think I deserve a right of reply to that. I personally feel that asking to be paid...
Did you or did you not do what I've just said?
I was going to respond to that, but...
Why not do it straight away? Did you or did you not claim such a large fee that the event had to be cancelled?
No, I didn't, Mr.
Well,
Starkey.
then every member of the committee is lying, and you, clearly as usual, are telling the truth.
No, this is not what was said to me. I
have emails. That wonderful, wonderful method of tracking.
No, I don't think I'm going to respond to it. One of the reasons the event was cancelled partly because they couldn't find a speaker in time because they were trying to fly me out, and part of the reason that the cost for that on top of my being asked to be paid for 2 days' work because I actually don't earn very much.
Well, they had two pretty good speakers there already.
Well, no, she backed out because she wasn't being paid.
Anyway,
sorry, excuse me.
We're on.
Paris, what about the generational divide? Because that is really quite striking. The under 45s would have clearly voted to stay in, and the over 45s have clearly voted to take us out.
Well, there was a great headline on Vice today which said, "Grandma, what have you done?" And I think that a lot of millennials will be feeling that this morning. I think it's incredibly selfish, and I personally will not forgive or forget. Because the older generation don't have to live here as long as the younger generation do.
So are we going to introduce, for example, a cut-off point beyond which you can't vote?
Well,
are you your sense of sublime self-entitlement, are we going to have those under 35 with 2 votes?
Hang on a minute. Young people have already had so much taken away from them. I don't need to take away my airtime as well, Mr. Starkey. So what we're actually looking at is a generation of people who've... Well, you're not letting me because you're interrupting me because you're a privileged white man who just wants to speak over me. And this is the problem. Young people are getting very sick of it.
About immigrants as if somehow they're not real people. The people who came over after the war, my family were part of that wave of people. I'm proud to be British and part of the European community, part of, a giant society of people trying to work to make each other's countries better. I think, we seem to have forgotten that Britain is also supposed, I hope, to be a compassionate nation, a humane nation. That is the Britain I'm proud of, and I want that country back.
Just let's have your questions, see whether you strike a chord with everybody here.
We knew what we voted for in leaving the EU. Why are Remainers making out constantly that we are uneducated people that didn't understand Brexit and what we were doing?
And obviously that's what you feel.
Yes.
You feel as
I feel we knew, I read everything, I looked into everything. It's how I felt, and I did the old-fashioned pros and cons in writing, and I wanted to leave. But people now are making out as if we're uneducated, as if we don't know what we were doing. And I just think they need to stop doing that.
Anybody else who feels that? Incidentally, throwing things at the television or shouting at it is an occupational hazard of watching Question Time. You, sir, the man behind, do you agree with her?
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I find it absolutely abhorrent that people like you come on the end and call that the British people, we lack compassion. You're essentially calling us fascist and racist just because we have concerns about immigration. I'm a primary school teacher and I've worked at various schools where... Yes, but unfortunately that's exactly the tone that we're taking. I've worked at various schools where English is genuinely not the first language on the playground. Not between the children, but by the parents. Quite often, you go around, because once upon a time, people came to this country and gradually integrated and were welcomed. We're a very welcoming nation. But when you get a massive influx of people all coming at the same time, that's what people have a problem with. That's when we get concerned when we go to the doctors and we can't get appointments. You go down to A&E and it's full. Now, people may turn around and say, no, that's racist, that's fascist, that's not acceptable. But 18 million people, just like that lady says down there, we knew what we were voting for, we know what we want to get out, and the sooner we start it and trigger Article 50, the better.
All right. Laurie? Laurie first. No, you go first. Laurie, keep it short, so we must move on.
All right, to try and answer both of your questions. Look, firstly, I don't believe that people who voted Brexit are stupid. I think, unfortunately, some people may have been lied to and manipulated, and that is not...
Men think it's legitimate to tell women who publish on the internet, to tell women journalists and women politicians that their voices are less meaningful, to sexualise and denigrate the appearance of women. And this is the thing that stops women from speaking out, stops women being on the internet. This is the thing that creates Gamergate, where men think it is legitimate to threaten women with violence if they don't shut up. And this is the discourse to which you are actively participating. And that is the problem. It means that all of these people whose voices should be heard in a principle of freedom of speech are not heard. I'll take you now. No? No PR1?
Yes,
Go
indeed.
for it.
Yeah, you said at the beginning that you didn't read our columns, and it's absolutely evident from what you've said this evening that you don't.
Okay. Don't worry, I do my research. And the thing I'm referring to is when Peter Hitchens said about the rapes that had occurred in Oxford, that obviously the fact that these were Muslims was important, because if you engage in a discourse where you think of other people as infidel and think of other people as lesser, that makes you more likely to be a rapist. That's why Muslims are more likely to be rapists. Exactly what you said.
Where? When?
2013. Look it up. You wrote it. Google it.
I didn't.
Right.
I didn't.
Okay.
You got the wrong person.
Problem is that this is... I mean, obviously, I did my research before the rape. That's just moronic to say that I didn't. Check it yourself. You should remember what you write, especially when it's that offensive.
You should go and use search engine.
The reason is that this also leads to harm, right? The reason why this discourse is so instrumental in